So today we're going to have a look at this portrait of a ballerina that I did in one of my client sessions last summer. And this image is a personal favorite. Actually, I love the colors. I love brown tones. I love this kind of warmth to an image. And I mean, you can't beat that tutu. That is absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful with it. So we're going to talk through the image. We're going to talk through how we created it, our composition, the lighting, all the different elements that went into creating this image and really making it what it is. I'm hoping that with this series, we're going to help you dissect images, help you understand, help you read images better. Rather than just seeing behind the scenes and other different bits. I think sometimes to just sit and really go into it and discuss it can be really helpful for some people. So we're going to look at doing that now. So let's move on to the first section, planning. So the planning for this was minimal, to be honest. It's a good start, isn't it? The planning for this was minimal because I don't know in my client sessions what they're bringing. We have discussions, there's opportunity for discussion, but more often than not, especially with my dancers, it's what they bring on the day, what they feel like wearing on the day. And even if I was told ahead of time that she was going to be bringing a peach coloured tutu, without pictures, I wouldn't have really known the detail. I like to be inspired in the moment rather than have too much of a solid plan. That's my personal preference for working when I'm just sort of working off the cuff and just doing things. So very little planning went into it. However, when I did see the tutu at the beginning of the shoot, I thought, oh my God, those colors are stunning. And I knew I wanted to do two different sets. I knew I wanted to do a very light, quite high key, creamy kind of set, and something dark, more painterly, more fine art kind of picture too. Especially that they did mention that we were going to put her hair back, we were going to do a classic ballet bun, which meant we were going to have lovely jawline, necklines, collarbones, all of that sort of stuff that I love to work with. I love doing tutus with hair down as well. I think it gives it a really natural vibe. So it works either way. So planning, I don't feel like I have too much to contribute to that. But that is what happened. I saw it and I had two ideas and I planned to fit them in. We always do tutus last, basically for the pure reason that it's a lot of fuss putting the hair pieces in and doing everything like that and getting them on and off, and point shoes if we're doing that. So it's always the last thing of the shoot. So I had a lot of time throughout the shoot to get to know her, get to know her ability and know what we want to create. So next we're talking about composition. Composition is something that is natural, I suppose. Comes naturally to some people. It came quite naturally to me to know where to frame an image. And I know it's something that people struggle with and they stick to the rules a lot. But I found that when I started studying composition, I naturally stuck to the rule of thirds a lot. So we had sort of her eyes coming through the third. She's quite central, but we've sort of got a third here, a third coming through the head, and it sort of sits quite nicely. This kind of composition as well, I call it an arch or a bridge. It is definitely not called that, but it basically, long story short with it, you've got either side of the frame is exactly the same width, and then a little bit above, that's about half of what's at the side of her, creating like an archway. If you cut her out, you'd see like an archway around. So I find that composition is a favourite of mine. I quite like quite symmetrical, quite central images, and it was quite striking for this particular image. My favourite topic, lighting. I love talking about lighting. I love lighting. It's my favourite thing. It's what got me into photography. I'm still quite confident it's magic. I think lighting is magical. I get very excited over shadows and highlights, and it's absolutely beautiful. So for this image, it was lit from the front with a 150 indirect octobox from a very high angle coming in from the left, and a strip box coming in from the right, which you can see just kissing down the side of the neck, down the side of the arm. You can see that's just sort of brushing in there. There was also another light behind her, which was a spotlight, and that is hitting the background just to create that halo effect behind her head. That halo effect has been ever so slightly enhanced in editing, if you've seen my edit video for this particular image. But as you'll know, if you've seen that the highlight, the halo was actually there. I positioned that carefully. Now, if you're using a light positioned on a background to create a halo effect, you have to be very careful, because any kind of movement you do, the halo is out of position. So you have to really pay attention to that. But overall, this was quite simple. It was a 2-light setup on the subject, 3-light setup overall. I kept it very, very simplistic because I wanted it to have that almost painterly kind of feel to it and feel effortless. The key light is coming in from quite a high angle just to give us those nice definitions under the jaw and to give us some nice shadows and make sure that the face is the brightest part. But apart from that, that was quite simple. Posing. So the posing for this image, I actually, first thing I got her to do was to stand in second position, which is when the feet kind of, I can't really do it with my hands, but the feet are kind of like that. And it is a comfortable position to stand, but it does make her stand up straight. It keeps her back arched. It keeps her with a nice poise as she sort of stood there. However, I didn't want this to be a ballet shot. I didn't want this to have a ballet feel to the pose. I wanted it to just look relaxed. So bringing the arms across and then getting her to relax those shoulders gave us the collarbone. By bringing the shoulders forwards, when you bring your arms crossed and you hold onto your elbows, your shoulders naturally come forwards. That has enhanced the collarbone. It's also given us a stance that she's just sort of stood there, just waiting, and it's not a dance position. And slightly bringing one of her shoulders towards the camera just to give a very elegant kind of position. Because by bringing her arms across like that, I have lost the waist. We have lost the feminine waist that would come with a tutu. However, using the lighter of the tutu and the dark of her arms, that waist is still intact because we can see that where her waist goes. If she had a dark tutu on, this might bulk her out a little bit, which we wouldn't want to do. So I think that looks really nice. And with the face aiming towards us that way, it's ever so slightly off to the side, facing the same way as the body. And she's got very direct eye contact and is a very relaxed, calm kind of expression as she's staring through. To get those kind of expressions, I just go calm. Quite honestly, a lot of the time when I take pictures like this, they're not told to do it. They're actually just listening, and I will be chatting away. And when people are listening to you, they go quiet and they close their mouth and they just sort of stare. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's their natural positioning. That's how they are. So I do that and I get that kind of result. And I think that looks absolutely beautiful. So from posing perspective, it's quite simple, but you do have to watch. A rolled shoulder, a tense neck, a sort of different position would ruin it. It's paying attention to those details that really do make a simple pose like that. Finally, editing. I've done a whole video on editing this exact image, so you can go over and check that out. It's just up on the channel somewhere, I think. But the editing for this was very simplistic. The image was basically there in the beginning. The image already existed like that. But it is something that I did enhance with some contour, and I did enhance with a background edit to add even more texture into that background, because we wanted a very painterly feel. We wanted that fine art kind of feel to the image in the end. I love where it's gone. I love the result of this image, and I think it worked really well. The edit wouldn't have taken very long. I don't think very much was done at all. I removed a few stray hairs, but really this was done in camera. This was mostly in camera. If you go to that editing video, you can see the before and the after, and you will see that the only thing that changes is the effects rather than any kind of dramatic lighting and changing like that. It's completely my style. I love collarbones and contour and cheekbones and definition. I like things to be beautiful. I want to look at it and it's just clean and beautiful and lovely and not complicated. I absolutely adore this image, and really, really happy with it. So I hope that's helped. That is a dissection, I suppose, of this image and what I did to create it. I'm going to do a whole series of these, and hopefully by the time you watch this, I'll have a name for them. And I will hope that doing this and reading the images will help. See you guys next time.